there's a force field wherever I go. Got a pearlescent glow from head to toe. Close my eyes when they scream, and I can't feel pain here in the dreamland. I'm with my imaginary friends under pomegranate skies with the raspberry blend. I'm not gonna smile through the sadness again. If I stay here forever, I don't have to pretend. It's all good in my head. It's all good in my head. I don't know how to deal, but this is how to dream. Catapult now with my bulletproof cape and my shatterproof crown. If you can see it, then I'm proud of you, wow. Cause you can't imagine this unless you had to know how. My hug was a belt, my love never felt right. Punishment is only time I ever got held tight. If my inner voice sounds just what he yelled like, how you expect me to talk to myself nice? I'm with my imaginary friends under pomegranate skies with the raspberry blend. I'm not gonna smile through the sadness again. If I stay here forever, I don't have to pretend. It's all good in my head. It's all good in my head. I don't know how to deal, but this is how to dream. But this is how to dream.
Hello. What's going on, everybody? Hot minute, as usual. A lot of world events since we last talked. Seems like you never get a break nowadays. We had our official declaration of war on aliens. We had assassinations. I honestly, crypto is the least of our wars nowadays, right? At least that's how I see it. So one Wordle. Did I do the Wordle today? I've done the Wordle every single day for the last probably 4 months. I might have missed one day. I don't know if I've done the Wordle today. I will check. Why'd you retract that statement? That's a perfectly viable question to ask. Okay. Let me switch it over here. What's going on, guys? Good afternoon. Good morning. Good night, wherever you're at. But yeah, you know, I debated getting on when everything was a hot topic, but what am I gonna say? You know, I'm not that type of YouTuber. But obviously, I don't know, man. I don't know where we're headed. Small kite, big gains. Real Trey, what's going on, man? Saintly, how you doing? Simran, what's going on, man? How you doing? Alan, great to see you as well. You say, yo, Kite drop BTC to 107,000 for an ABC long. That is exactly what we're looking for. I mean, we've had this level marked out for quite a while. And it looks like we're now starting to get it. So there really hasn't been much to do. Don't know why I have that alarm set. As per usual, you know, we took our ABC short at the top of 123. At least on BTC. There was a couple other coins that I took trades on. They hit a decent amount of profit, so I just kind of took them and walked away. It was on our, you know, our small account, so it wasn't anything huge. But in terms of like the trades I have open, it really just comes down to BTC. I didn't take the Ethereum trade. Where are we sitting right now? Yeah, so even if I wanted to, we're too far away. I didn't take the... I just didn't watch Ethereum. Ethereum has not been something that I continuously check up on a daily basis for quite a while. XRP is what I've been doing pretty much all of my transactions through. So I tend to see the price on that every couple days. XRP did have a pretty decent ABC top. I don't think I took a trade on that, but it was perfect ABC setup. And we are starting. We did get an ABC long position, but it looks like it's going to fall through that. I probably wouldn't touch it until we see Bitcoin also put in its ABC long position. But that's probably like if everything goes right, that's where the hedge would be, unless something new happens. I doubt it. Litecoin does have a very decent ABC structure, but we have not confirmed to the upside yet. So it kind of looks like everything is kind of waiting for Bitcoin, as per usual. Now, I don't really think my opinion has changed all that much on the market. If anything, it's kind of solidified at this point. Last time we talked, I was pretty much saying that I do believe things are coming to an end. I think if we look at kind of how retail money is talking, it kind of does point to that as well. Look how far we've come. I had to zoom out on a daily chart multiple times to kind of see this uptrend. It all comes back to that same analogy that we've said over and over again, kind of throughout this bull market, that the halvening is a rock being thrown in water, and the circulating supplies dictates the size of that water. So obviously in the beginning, it's a small pond, lots of ripples, huge effect, that halvening rock being thrown in there. But as we've grown, that pond has become a lake. And at this point, with pretty much every single Bitcoin mined, we're slowing down significantly. Now, obviously there's a whole other factor built into it of lost Bitcoin, but you can't ever really account for that because we don't quite know the number. We can estimate, but we'll never know. The halvening is going to have less and less of an effect. But in my opinion, this is something that's amazing that we haven't seen before. This bull market tells me so much more for the future than a skyrocket bull market fail bottom out does. This tells me that Bitcoin's strong. The bear market hit, people were willing to buy it up, and we held steady, and we grew from there. Now, is it the drastic 300,000, 500,000, 1 million price point that some people kept predicting? No, And did we see a amazing alt season? No. At least, you know, on the things that I traditionally look at. I'm sure there's many meme coins and new projects that if you kind of got, you know, in super early, you saw a couple 1,000%, which is likely to be expected. But I think this bull market was the healthiest Bitcoin has ever had. And I do think that it would be responsible to come back down and set in another low. Now, obviously, if Bitcoin comes down, it's going to take alts with it. Now, it's too early to say. These are my opinions. Now, obviously, the way I trade is going to be separate of those opinions. But as of right now, my opinions and my trades do line up. So my opinion, as it sits right now, if we do happen to put in this ABC long position and we do proceed past the all-time high once again, that puts a momentary pause. Okay, I'll be in a long position, I'll lose the short position, and I'm willing to openly accept whatever new highs crypto has in place for it. But as of this moment, I do think we are starting to see the trickle out. You're starting to see kind of a mixture of headlines here. Whereas if we went back a month and a half ago, pretty much all of crypto YouTube, the news cycle, it was very bullish. It was very, very bullish. People were saying that we're going to blast off to new highs and yada, yada, yada. Ethereum was going to break through its resistance, and that was going to be the big explosion. But now you're starting to see small bits and pieces here and there of people being a little bit more bearish. So I wouldn't go on to crypto YouTube and look at people that are calling for like stupid numbers, calling for like 10K. But I do think anybody that's kind of talking about at minimum 75,000. Okay, that's the minimum I think that we will see. Now, in terms of maximums, I think the maximum for a bear market would be 38K. Okay. Now, let me preference that with saying I don't think it's going to be like a drastic like hold 38K. I think primarily the bear market bottom would probably be around 54,700. And then we might see like a week of price action that dips down into like the 40K mark and comes back above pretty aggressively after being down at those levels. Now, obviously, the hope would be is that creates, you know, some sort of a ABC structure in the future, but we have to wait and see if that is going to be the case. Maybe we only get a small ABC towards that bottom. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, that's pretty. There's nothing super duper to talk about besides like news, like, you know, Charlie Kirk and UFOs and the destruction of cities. World's been going crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I have no clue. I'm just hoping that AI doesn't fail us and it's a nice person and fixes some issues, because that's all we can really hope for at this point. Hey, Kite, do you think the ABC coming on BTC is decent? Absolutely. It's a very solid structure. It's got a thick A, thick B, thick C. Not going to continue that sentence, but hey. Yeah, if we come back down a little bit more, it's definitely an open position that I'm willing to take as a hedge position against my current short. Now, in terms of where I would take profit on my short position, it's not going to be for quite a while. It's pretty much going to be the entire bear market. Because like I said, I'm only really expecting like kind of an average bottom of around like 50,000. So if I go by kind of my 50% rule, I'm looking at about 61,000 as a take profit. But if price action slips extremely quickly, I might just let it run a little bit further. Depends on what we're looking at those price ranges. Glad to see the yum yum sauce didn't kill you. It's still sitting in my fridge. It's awful. I can't really bring myself to throw it out because it's a full bottle, but at the same time, I'm never going to use it, and I doubt my sister's ever going to use it. So, if anybody wants it, I'll leave it on the porch. You guys can come grab it. It'll be free. Thoughts on ETH ABC weekly? Yeah, I mean that's another telltale sign. Like I said, I'm not personally in that trade, but we had it marked out for a good while. And we did actually end up putting in a very small confirmation of the macro ABC. But yeah, that's just, it's just another sign. So I guess I can delete this because that's no longer relevant. But yeah, we have, Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have like a macro ABC, but just from my years of being in the market, with kind of like the way the structure has been playing out, getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Like I said, I could see one more push to the upside. I do think that's feasible. Just consider, like, if we go back to Bitcoin for a second, if we go back to Bitcoin and we look at kind of like these little block structures. How we had a retest and it was 221 days. We had a retest. It was 100 days. And then this would be our next retest. So if we're assuming that, you know, it's going to be shorter than 100 days, well, we're kind of reaching that point. We're definitely going to put in that low. So one more spurt to the upside, but I really do think that if we see that next top, I think that's it. I think we're done there. If not now. Okay. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that. Now, like I said, that's my opinion. If you hold a different opinion, that's all right. As long as you trade safe around your opinion, who cares? All right. Nobody really knows where the market's going to go. Obviously, we have inklings, we have clues, we have an edge, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of subject to whatever people are feeling. So if a country needs a new support system, well, maybe they'll buy in with all their monetary value. I don't know how they're going to do that quickly, but yeah. Why is it not relevant? Because we put in the higher high. You're talking about Ethereum, right? With yes. Because we put in the higher high here, this no longer can become a bullish ABC. This would be a separate structure altogether. So if this was our highest point, we would start measuring A, B, and C, and this would be our next long position. But that is no longer the tallest point. So technically, all of this is the A. That's the entirety of the A. Okay. If we do not come back above that level, we're looking for a B. Now, where that low is going to be, I have no clue. Like I said, Ethereum's kind of not my wheelhouse anymore. It does its own thing. Yes, can we find trades within it sometimes? Absolutely. You can find a trade on anything. But the numbers that I see are numbers that would make people mad. And that's why I'm hesitant to say them. So, you know, we look at local lows. All right, if we're going to look at where a potential downtrend is going to end, we look at the opposing uptrend in which it came from. Well, our strongest local lows are at 1,400 and 893. Now, I hope it ends there because we really don't have anything else. my bet would be 1400. 1400 seems like a nice number, okay, because that's the previous local high of this bull market, and it is the local low of our current trend. So maybe we come back down there, we have a little bit of a flash crash down to the hundreds, and then we come back up. Sound good? All right. It's done. It's set in stone. Two was a good trade. I actually had a good time with that. I didn't get stopped out as much as most altcoins stopped me out, and yeah, we made a good little bit of profit off of that. So we got in here off of this high, and I did end up taking profit somewhere in this region. Don't know the exact number, but 23% profit. I think we were on like 75x leverage. We were risking, I think I was risking $5, and I walked away with like 70 or 80. So pretty good R&R. Not too shabby. I lost all my month profit trying to catch the knife on ETH. I'm so sorry, man. I always end up doing that. Really need to discipline myself. I'm sorry, buddy. We've been, most people, I would say, that have been here long enough have always been in the same shoes as somebody else. So really it is nothing but time. And unfortunately, like, there's no medicine. Well, I guess, yeah, like if you have diagnosed ADHD that's like untreated, because your brain's always trying to get dopamine from some source, whether it's nicotine or soda or other drugs. So, you know, that's the only thing that you could do necessarily, like outside of like just really just setting up roadblocks. That's what it comes down to for most people, is roadblocks. You know, kind of set rules. And even that doesn't help you sometimes. At some point, the only thing that can really help you is getting burnt over and over again until you decide that the stove is burny, don't touch hotty. But so you were trying to catch the knife on Ethereum. The recent one right here. Were you just kind of longing to long, or were you like playing like small time frame ABCs? Because even the ABCs that I do see that were forming within this, none of them really, I mean, maybe on the smaller time frames, but I'm on a 1 hour here. Really like folded over and over again. Even this one here, it kind of just kept dropping through. I'm sorry that happened, man. It's happened to me. There's nothing to do but look back and go, I'm an idiot. Try not to do it again. When you take ABC long while being net short, do you still aim for the... I don't use fibs anymore. I understand, like, I'm all for the mystical. It's on record. I've been on stream for many years. I love the mystical stuff. And fibs kind of give that mysticism of, oh, we hit the 0.382 and now it bounces. But in reality, doesn't matter. I guess it all depends on the way that you trade. But no, I mean, I've been over it many times. When I take these hedge positions, I'm simply letting price do whatever the hell it wants to do. Now, obviously with shorts, I do have kind of a limit. It's because, like I said, with longs, they can go thousands of percents. If the price wants to keep going up indefinitely without giving a momentary pause to re-enter the position, that's all there is to do, is go up. But with short positions, there does come a point in the trade, which for me personally is around the 50% mark, where I would be better off taking profit and either going to a different asset that might have an opportunity to go short again, or wait for the asset itself to give me a short position. Now, this is totally up to you because there is alternative ways of looking at this. If you get a short from the very, very top of the bull market, it could be 700 days until we see this high again. So if you take a short position from there, now you have to have an account that you're very comfortable doing this with this, and it has to be worth it for you in order to kind of lock up. It's basically like staking at that point, because you're basically earning an interest rate. So you have to have a decent sum of money, and then as well as that, you have to kind of just keep that money there. So if you don't have extra money, well, then you can't do it. But that would be funding. 98% of the time, funding is going to be in the direction of shorts in terms of they're getting paid for the monetary value that they're adding to the market. Because for the most part, most people are bullish. Most people are very eager for price to go back up. And I mean, that's very apparent. It doesn't matter, you know, how honest and intellectually true I am with what I'm saying. If I say price is going to go down, people get upset. It doesn't matter if I say it's going to go down 10% or 75%. Just the thought of it going down to some people angers them because crypto need go up, which that's the thing. If you honestly are here for crypto for the rest of your life, we need to set in these local lows to make sure that we have viable support regions for the future. Or else you end up in a situation like with Ethereum, where I'm looking at Ethereum and I'm like, if we lose this support, it is freaking doomsday. Now, obviously, is that the case? Probably not. I'm sure support will come in, but there's no like thing that I can definitively say like, oh, we'll probably find support there. I'm comfortable buying there. With Ethereum, if we lose 888, if we lose 1400, there's no point that I'm comfortable buying Ethereum until we hit the next local low, unless we form a very decently sized ABC that signifies a new local low. So that's the thing that is difficult for me with Ethereum on the long term. And ETH 15K by end of year, according to Tom Lee. Don't know who Tom Lee is. Is that the founder of Litecoin? Or is that just a talking head? Tom Lee. The investor? Yeah, is this not the guy that founded Litecoin? Okay, listen, man. Who is the founder of Litecoin? All right, listen. It's not my fault. Okay, it's not purely because they're both Asian. All right. They both have the last name Lee, okay? Listen. I have plausible deniability now. I was really worried for a second that I was just being straight up racist, but listen, let's be honest. They do kind of look similar. All right, I'm not talking about their race. I'm just talking about their facial build. All right. If you take off the glasses, I swear to God, they look the same. But we have Charlie Lee, which is the founder of Litecoin, and we have Tom Lee, who is a talking head investor. Okay. Canceled. SBK said, "Can the B be lower than the A? Can the B be go?" So let me ask, can the B? No. Okay, so this is what you're asking. So this is our A wave right here, and this is our B wave. This is the end of our B, beginning of our C. So no, this is not a viable structure. The only structures that like my strategy supports right now, I'm sure there's You can make up reasons for everything. This is made up, okay? This is all made up. It just simply is something that works, and I don't know why, but it makes money, so I do it. All right, and then this would be the alternative position. So A to B to C, A to B to C. This would be a short position right here. And then this would be a long position right here. Can C be over? Yes, absolutely it can. But that does kind of diminish what we're looking for. So like, for example, if the C wave is overly long like this, I really am not going to be treating this as like as a traditional ABC. My hope would be at the top of this C wave, because it's all fractals, okay? At the top of this C wave, I'm hoping that I have something like this, where I can get into this position and then it carries me into this position. So overall, I am taking the trade because of the macro ABC, but in no way, shape, or form am I going to be taking the trade at the macro ABC. So it's very similar to what's going on right now. Okay, if we look at Bitcoin as a whole, we have A, we have B, and we have C. Okay, so I wouldn't say that the C wave is massively overextended, but you can see exactly why I do what I do. All right, we came back down, and instead of coming down through it and falling, I mean, we definitely could have. It didn't have to bounce right here. We ended up coming down to it, testing it, and then bouncing. So the further that you get away from a support and resistance, the less likely it is to be like concrete. Okay. So that's why at the top of the C wave, we found a smaller position that carries us into the macro position. So we took this trade and we're hopefully carrying it into this trade. And then the idea would be this turns into resistance, and then we come down to this local low. I don't have any specific wavelength rules. And that was the whole reason why. Because, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching for a long time, but I used to do like primarily Elliott wave, you know, looking for fifth wave extensions and all that kind of stuff. But the rules that were imposed on Elliott wave is actually what was preventing me from taking maximum profit. And after kind of using that for a long time and seeing stuff that I didn't like, I started to make alternative decisions that I liked better. And then I stumbled across a guy named Tom Hugard, who aligned with the way that I was seeing things, but then obviously he had 20 years of experience on top of that. So it kind of solidified how I thought about things. And then he introduced me to even better concepts, which, you know, the main concept that I think for me made a huge difference was 99 out of 100 of your profitable trades are going to be whatevers. It's going to be stuff that, although is awesome because being in the green is always awesome, it's going to be an everyday occurrence. At some point, it will become an everyday occurrence. Doesn't mean that you're going to win every day. Doesn't mean that you're going to win every trade. It means that it's second nature. It doesn't phase you to make 10, 20% on chart profit. But then he said that there's going to be 1 out of 100 trades that are the way he put it was cha-ching. Okay. But what he means is it's going to be the trade that everybody looks at, that when you post it, they go, what did this guy know that I didn't? And that's the cool thing about it, is it's not what you knew. It's what you knew how to do, which was shut up. To sit back on your hands and shut up and just let whatever happens, happen. Not getting in your head about, oh, it's starting to bounce a little bit here. Maybe I should take half profit. Maybe I should take quarter profit. Maybe I should move my stop loss down so, you know, I at least walk away with something. It's those little tiny decisions that add up that equal a detrimental portfolio long term. But there's going to be that one trade that can take your portfolio from $1,000 to $2,000. And I cannot stress enough how much easier it is to make the next 1,000 after that. But to drop from 1,000 to 500 to get to 2,000 now is quadruply hard versus what it was before. Not including the mental toll it takes to get even back to where you were before, because then now you're going to be chasing trade after trade. You're going to go into assets that don't make any sense. And you're going to be like, I had 1,000, but now I'm down to 400 and I don't know where to begin. So removing those rules that I have to take profit at the 0.382, that price has to hit the 1.618 extension. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, when sometimes we only get a 1, 2. So it's those little things that added up over time for me that I just said, screw it. Like, why am I going to be putting all these parameters on my chart when really I make more money? Now, like, I'm not arguing that what I do is the most profitable way to do things. What I'm arguing is, for me personally, it is the most profitable way to do things because it gets me out of my head, looking at things objectively, minimizing risk, minimizing losses, and maximizing profits. I know, really good sales pitch, right? But that's the thing. What I do isn't something that needs to be sales pitched. You watch me for 5 minutes and you ask the question, can you explain ABCs to me? I can explain it in 5 minutes. The hard part isn't what I do, it's how I do it. And how I do it is by shutting up. And that is a very difficult thing for people to do. And honestly, I don't even know how I did it or how I continue to do it, because come to find out, I'm extremely ADHD. All right. So dopamine is my drug of choice. All right. And obviously trading can provide a lot of dopamine. And because of the way the brain works, it's a seesaw. Okay. So when you take a huge loss, it tilts that seesaw so the next win feels even more fantastic. So you're constantly in this cycle of wanting to do more and more and more and catch a knife and make your money back and do this and that. I mean, one of the, honestly, the thing that I could ever hope to prevent someone from doing is DCAing on leverage into a losing trade. That shit. You think trying to catch a falling knife and just getting stopped out a couple times? Oh my goodness, DCAing into a failing trade is... I've done it. I've lost a drastic amount of money doing that. Now, this was back when I first started. This was all the way back in, you know, when we were sitting in... I can't even see it on the chart. It was that long ago. Well, because I'm on Ethereum. I'm stupid. The last time that like I had a DCA trade was over here, where like I was DCAing into a losing trade and I ended up losing like 20 times more than what I was supposed to. And Twixie, I mean, I don't know if this is the same question or if I'm just rereading the old one, but no, I don't use the 0.558 anymore. I don't even really, I use support and resistance more as like a guideline for what my brain should expect. So like if I'm in a short position, I can't ignore local lows. So like if I'm in a short from, where we're currently sitting, from the last ABC top, I can say like, yeah, there's local low here at 99. There's a local low here at 74. And realistically, like I'm expecting lower than that. So I use support and resistance as like a kind of mental thing where I can look at it and I go, it more than likely price is going to be influenced by that support and resistance, but I need to shut up. It's probably going to bounce there. We're probably going to be seeing momentary upside, but I need to shut up and let whatever happen is going to happen, because the best thing that can happen is we come down to 74,000, 75,000. Price is influenced, and then we come down and we form an ABC. Okay, so that's the main thing. And especially when you're on the lower time frames, shit doesn't matter at all. He said, I found you a month ago, been trading for about a year. A year's not a bad length of time. There's still, my first year had a lot of ups and downs. I've been actively trading since like the end of 2017. So I, was able to get my own Coinbase account, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously went on to Bybit, fell in love with that. And many things came afterwards. So for me, it's been, in 2 years, I'll be at the 10-year mark. And I'm very grateful for like how far I've come with trading, but there's just so much other crap that has messed me up tremendously that, shit sucks sometimes. Mom died. I'm getting floaters in my left eye, and I don't know what's causing it. So that's annoyance. All right. I'm 26. Okay. Well, about to be 26. I'm 25. I'll turn 26 2 months. So, but to be 26, I'm kind of over exaggerating. Okay. Because it's not like my entire left eye is filled with floaters and it's almost like I'm blind. There's like one floater that just annoys the shit out of me all day long. It makes driving suck. That's what I primarily do nowadays, is drive. So, life sucks sometimes. Yeah, if you're 16 and you're starting now, albeit, okay, here's the shitty situation. Let's be honest. All right. AI is going to be 100 times better at what we're doing right now than we could ever hope to be. It's going to make trading obsolete. And I honestly, all here for it. Like, if we're being honest to our core, is trading, I think trading is amazing. Not for what it is, but for what it does. I think trading can teach things about yourself psychologically that would take you years to learn, but simplify, like if you really do the work, it can teach you things about yourself that would have taken you years to understand. How your mind operates, kind of what your limitations are, how much you can actually get in your own way, that some other occupations would never. But like to its core, trading is like it's dog shit. Like it's what is it doing? That's what I'm trying to say here. It's not creating anything. It's all it's simply doing is we're basically like little cogs in a machine that keeps like this economical thing running, because if money's not moving, all economies collapse. So yes, is there some function to trading? I guess, but like in terms of like humanity, it's not doing anything. So if AI comes along in the next 6 years and absolutely destroys any hope we have at trading, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that, but it's something that's always in the back of my head. But yeah, if you're 16, just understand that like it's not going anywhere. Like if I could go back to like the 17-year-old me that started, the one thing I would say would be it's not going anywhere. There's no need to rush, because compounding is such a strong momentum in anything, whether it's a skill, whether it is money, whether it's interest rate that's eating you away on debt. Compounding is a very strong force. So don't, look at your account and be like, I'm only working with such and such amount of money. I need to get to a certain point by next year. Take the trades that are available. Take the trades that are real. All right. Doesn't matter if you're doing it based off of how I see things. Just make sure that you're doing it based off something that's real. Track your trades. Okay. I didn't track my trades for a very long time. I kind of just threw shit at a wall and saw what stick. And, as long as number went up, I knew it was working. But in all reality, if I tracked my trades, at this point, if I tracked my trades for the last, 7 years and I was using this same strategy, I could have, honed in my exact risk percentage to such a point where I would probably be much better, in a much, much better situation than I am now. But that's one of the pros and cons. You said track as in, so when it comes to trading, what trading has turned into is no longer going and finding a company and looking at profit margins and looking at what a 10-year investment portfolio would look like. What we're doing is essentially quant trading. Now, obviously, we're not computers, we're human, so it's a little bit different, and obviously we're a lot slower. But the idea of how we trade is we're not trading based off of what I just said, but rather whether it be patterns, indicators, or just kind of going with the flow. Okay, so for me, my indicator is an ABC. It gives me a couple different things. Where price is likely to turn around if such and such happens. Where am I going to enter? Where is my stop loss going to be? And then the issue with this is I don't have a direct place of take profit. Where I take profit is based off of where price gives me an opportunity to get out of said market. So, this is really just best explained. I do this pretty much every live stream, but for good reason. People ask, and obviously it's something that needs to be said. So if I take a short position from here, right? I'm not going to just take sometimes I do. Obviously I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. On my smaller accounts, I'll kind of just take profit once I kind of just, like the number. But on my main account, I don't mess around. Okay. So if I take a short position, unless we see 50%, I'm not getting out of it. It doesn't matter if I lose that position. Me personally, I never move my stop loss. I don't move it to break even. I don't move it to 25% profit. I don't use a trailing stop loss. Nothing. When I enter that trade, I'm signing a binding document that says, if I lose this trade, this is how much I'm losing. That does a couple things for me mentally. One, it gives me a baseline to work with. How much am I going to lose of my portfolio every time I enter a trade? Because no trade is guaranteed. I could take 100 out of 100 trades and they all lose. Okay. Now, obviously that hasn't been the case, but who knows? The universe is an infinite possibility loop. So if I take this trade, I'm going to sit in this trade until one of two things happens. Either one, price action comes down, comes back up, and then comes back down. This now forms a hedge position. Basically, I have a short open, and then as soon as price action comes back above this level, I'll be entering a long position. So between these 2 points, all right, this is where like newer people kind of don't understand and the greed takes over. The green is kind of a safe zone. So let's say, for example, in this trade, we made $500, okay, before we took our long position. When we take our long position, what are we doing? Okay. It is not to make money. Okay. It is to secure the profit that has been made already. Okay. So people look at this and they go, well, if I have a short open and a long open, where's my money? The money has already been made. You are simply making sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Because if the market's telling you that there is a possibility that there is a bottom, how do we know that bottom is not going to supersede our original position? We don't. All right. At the end of the day, we don't care. Okay. Being this type of trader isn't about being the person that's sitting there and being like, Bitcoin go to million, Bitcoin go to million. All we're looking for is price movement. Now, hopefully the range is wide, all right, from bottom to top, because that's where the most money can be made. But in reality, we don't care. It could, if price on Bitcoin sat between 150,000 and 50,000 for the rest of time, as long as it's moving between those 2 points, I don't care. Okay. It could stay there for the rest of time. Does not matter to me. So now you have a hedge position. Your profit is secured. So one of two things are going to happen after this. Either one, we get rejected and we continue downwards. No harm, no foul. You lose 1 to 2% of your portfolio, but you've made so much money on this short anyways, that what's the point? All right. As long as you took a chance to secure your profit, so be it. All right. But if price action does continue to the upside, our hope would be that we form a new short position. Okay. Because now you can take this original short position, take profit on it, and move it down to here. Now you do not have to wait until this ABC is confirmed. And what do I mean by confirmed? Is once we put in a higher high and we come back down below the A, that is confirmed, meaning that the trade is in play. You should be in that trade. All right. All we're looking for is the creation of the ABC itself. So as soon as we put in a higher high, you can even move. Technically, once the formation is there, once you have an A and a B, you can move your stop loss down if you really want to. All right. We're just looking for the formation of that. So at this point, one of two things are going to happen. Either one, we set in a new local high and we continue down, or two, that local low was a bottom and we continue up, but you still have this long position here. And then obviously this short position is out of the way because it got stopped out. That's the whole idea. Now you take it, you flip it, and boom. This is the opposite play of how to work yourself into a long position or vice versa. Okay. So that's ABCs. All right. Like I said, regardless of if you're using those or not, the idea is to track your trades. Now with ABCs, you need to track the profit because you need to find out what is your average R&R. And by doing so, you can figure out how much you can risk on a trade without going bankrupt using a formula called Kelly criterion. I have no clue how the actual formula works. I just know it does. It was used a long time ago when they started to figure out quant trading. But Kelly criterion, basically, once you figure out your win rate versus your average takeaway, that's when you can figure out. I don't like these calculators. When did sports betting start taking over all of the good stuff? Get rid of the word betting. Where's the website that I like? That's simple. I guess this is it. But essentially, with ABCs in the past when I did track it, my win rate is not high. And that is due to the fact that I get stopped out a lot. Usually, the ABCs usually work. The problem is the time in between when we're kind of getting away from the entry point. So that takes my average probability of winning down to like 15%. Now I'm using this number because it's drastic. You know, someone says I only win 15% of the time. You're going to think, well, that's awful. Okay. So, see, I don't like this. I like R&R. Why are you making me? This is the website I like. This is the one I like. Okay, cool. Okay. Did they change this one? Expected gain when it outperforms. Give me R&R. Okay, I'll just do the math. All right. So, expected gain when it performs. Let's call it. Let's be on the lower end. I do hit a lot of like 20s and 30s on R&R, but let's be on the lower end. Let's say 14 R&R. So 14 R&R. With I like the other website better. Where did that one go? I thought it was on that one. The DY. I remember the DY. Is this it? Ah, here we go. This is the website I like. Okay. Okay, so odds of winning, 14, 15%. And then let's do a 14 R&R. And then bankroll 1,000. Okay, so this one is saying that $89 out of 100 or out of 1,000 would be your full Kelly criterion. Okay. I'm pretty, yes, that's like 9%. I'm never going to be using 9% on a trade. Okay. The most I'll probably ever use is like 5%. So because trading is so volatile and you are so volatile, I would really only recommend like at maximum like 1/3 Kelly. So that puts us at 3%. So if you're only winning 15% of the time, but when you do win, you're walking away with a 14 R&R, you can risk 3% confidently. That's what I'm saying. If you track your trades and you, out of like 1,000 trades, you know you have X win percentage. When you do win, this is the average R&R that you're walking away with. You can use something like this to figure out what is the best Kelly criterion number to use so that your account will never go bust. All right. So me, I stay around like 2%. All right. Because I just never did the hard work of tracking thousands of trades. But if you're starting young, you should. Rodrigo, what's going on, man? We might have to shut you down, Kite, if you continue talking about it. Talking about what? What am I talking about? What did I do? Oh, you're talking about like the ABC method? That it must be kept secret under all cost. Well, great to see you too, Rodrigo. Isn't the entire market made out of extremely micro ABCs? Yes, it is. That's what I was trying to say before. It's all fractals. So an ABC, you know, we can have an ABCA into an ABCB into an ABCC, and then that becomes one gigantic ABC. So yeah, it's all fractals. So that's another thing that like a lot of people struggle with is I can teach you ABCs, but how you go from that point is going to determine how successful you are. Me, I can, you know, I'm very inconsistent with streaming because I'm not a talking head. I love to talk. I can talk for hours, but you know, there's just something about like coming on here every single day when the primary of this channel is crypto. Obviously we talk about a lot of those stuff as well, but I don't like, sometimes I feel like I'm wasting people's time, you know, when I've been sitting in the same trade for a month and a half and I don't even have anything new to say besides, hey, another trade is coming up here very shortly. And that's the reason why I'm here today, is that we are very close to a possible ABC long position, and I want people to be aware of that. So, but you can take ABCs and you can go down to a 5-second time frame if you want to, and you'll find trades. But your win percentage, that might go down the drain. Erwan, very good question. You said, how do you do position size then? Well, that leads me to my first, I'm very proud of it because it's something that I thought of. And I'm not saying that it wasn't thought of before I did it, but I'll say it right now, okay? In terms of like the crypto trading space, I did pioneer this, and CryptoFace, well, particularly, I'm going to call it out, Flopping Groper, okay? That motherfucker, he stole it. And listen, I'm not going to say he stole it because I willingly explained it to him in a Discord call. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how the information gets out there. All I care about is that the information is out there if it is honest. So with the Kite risk reward calculator, at first it was just like a simple formula that like had iterations. So at first I would just do it by hand, and then I would someone created a spreadsheet that did the math for you, and then someone created this website, which has been up for many years. I forgot who even made it, but if they ever listen or hear listening, thank you, because just keeping this website up helps so many people. It's ridiculous. But yeah, Floppy, I explained it to him in Discord call, and I, you know, explained to him why people need this, especially when they're playing with leverage. And he understood that, and then all of a sudden, a month later, you see them incorporate it into their like club, but now it's under a subscription when this website is free. That's the main part that I have a problem with. But you asked the question, how do you do position size? Position size when you're using leverage is based off of risk. Okay, so leverage should not be used as a gamble. It should be used as a way to disperse your portfolio, either in terms of security or having viability. And what I mean by viability is that if you're trying to make the most amount of money possible, you don't want 100% of your portfolio locked into Bitcoin on a long. Using leverage allows you to use a fraction of your portfolio so that you can have another, 75% that you can either use on a hedge position or complementary on an altcoin. So leverage should be used as a way to keep less of your money on an exchange, and most of it on a cold wallet. And then beyond that point, it should be used as a way to kind of disperse your money around the market, not being locked into one thing. So that's where leverage comes into play. Leverage is not a way to make sure that you can 100x your portfolio in a single trade. It's to make sure that you can do things appropriately across the market. So let's say, for example, we're using the 3%, okay, that Kelly Criterion gave us based off of our results. Now, those are fake results that I put in there, all right? But I would say it's close to what I typically see, okay? So all that really matters here is this number down here, portfolio at risk, needs to be at 3%. How we get there is up to us. Okay, so let me show you a couple different things. So let's say we had $1,000 to work with. If we put 100% of our portfolio, $1,000, as our position size, and then we risked 3% with a stop loss of, 2%. Okay. You can see that our contracts in use are higher than our portfolio size. Now, that's okay to a certain extent. Okay. Yes, leverage does allow us to make money faster, but we should do it smartly. You should never have $1,000, but then using $100,000 of margin. Okay. That's just not a good thing to do. But let's say that we drop this to 50% margin. And now we increase our risk to 6%. Okay, so our stop loss stayed the same. So if Bitcoin goes up 2% and we're in a short, we get stopped out. But we're going to lose $30. So on both of these trades, we're going to lose $30. But I only have to put in $500 of my money into the second trade. Let's take this a step further and let's go down to 10%. Now we have to risk 30% of 10% to equal 3% of 100. Okay. So right here, you can see that the contracts in use has not changed. The how much we're going to lose if we get stopped out has not changed. The stop loss has not changed. The portfolio at risk has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the margin size going from 500 to 100 and the leverage going from, I think it was like 6 or 3 to 15. Okay. So, you're going to be paying the same exact market fees on all of these trades. You're going to be losing the same exact amount of money on all of these trades. And you're going to be making the same exact amount of money on all of these trades. But the difference being, if you put $1,000 of $1,000 into a short, and then a hedge long position comes up, whether it be on the same coin or an alternative coin, you don't have any money. It's all locked in your long or your short. I'm sorry. But if you do it this way, you have $900 other dollars to go use on altcoins to add to your position if things are going well, to take hedge positions on the same coin or alternative coins. It allows you to kind of put your money around the market while you have a good trade active. That's what leverage should be used for. It should not be used as a gamble where you take 500 of your $500 and you put it on 7x leverage, and now you're dealing with $3,000, and all you're really doing is giving yourself the opportunity to lose it 5 times faster. All right, now I get it. What if you do win? Well, hopefully you do. But that is going to cement a pathway in your neural network for you to do it again. And your chances of winning again are not as high. They get lower and lower and lower the more dumb things that you do. But hopefully that answers your question. Why not wait for a retest? Because we don't always get them, right? So I understand that some people are against market trading because they don't like the fees. To me, the fees are like a cost of business because of the way that I do things. So I'm assuming that if you're saying why not wait for a retest, you're doing that because you like to limit trade. And of course you can. Nothing's stopping you. But, you know, for example, like right here, for example, we didn't get a retest. Once we came down below the A, we were gone. And we have not come back up since. Now, could we come back up? Of course. Absolutely we could. Right here. We retested the A, went above it, came back down below it, did not go back. Eventually we did, but it was a long time. So I like real-time trading. So therefore I do have to use market. But here, I'll post it felt obviously these sports betting websites have a lot more money so they can put themselves up in the search results, but I looked up Kelly Criterion calculator and I had to go to like the third page, and it's DQYDJ Kelly Criterion bet calculator. This is the one that I always like to use just because I like R&R more than percentages. So here's the thing. I have no doubt that CryptoFace, like the money he's using is legitimate. Because I mean, he marketed the shit out of himself in the beginning. You know, he sold Market Cipher to a lot of people that were desperate. And listen, I'm not putting all the blame on him. No, if you're gonna go to the gold rush, usually the richest person that comes out is the person selling the shovel. So he sold the shovel. Would I say he's a great trader? No, I wouldn't say he's a great trader. He's still using spider lines. Let's be honest. All right. He also got that from me. And I don't even use it anymore. Okay. His spider lines are Gone fans that I used to use when I was in my mystical stage. Like I said, I'm all for mystical. I love mystical. But at the end of the day, if it's not necessary, it's not necessary. So, yeah. I mean, he made countless Bitcoins off of Market Cipher back in 2016, 2017, 2018. Because he was selling it for 0.1 Bitcoin. Now, at the time, 0.1 Bitcoin was only like $1,000. But, you know, even if he held on to a fraction of how many people bought that, you know, you think about if 1,000 people bought Market Cipher at that time. One, you know, that's a lot of money to begin with. And then as well as that, if he held on to 30 or 40 of those Bitcoins, it's a lot of money. A lot of money. So yeah, I have no doubt the dude is putting those numbers for real. But I listen, if he stopped marketing, like if he stopped the other side of his business and just was a trader, I don't think it would end well. That's all. Now, at this point, he has so much money that he can just go and put it into the SPS. I'm sure he's diversified. I'm sure he's got a person to do all that stuff for him. I don't even think he's going to go broke, is what I'm saying. But I don't think like his portfolio that he manages would do well for a long term. Do you think TJR is just a good salesman? TJR. Who's TJR? Thanks, man. And mind you, I started trading back in 2021. I can remember that thing that you mentioned about flopping grouper using your calculator, and we definitely paid for it, but it wasn't this clear. Yeah, because it's one thing to just kind of put a tool out there. It's another thing to teach people how to use that tool, right? The thing that those things, I mean, if they had it under like a subscription, you know, because they're hosting a website and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't mind if they put like an informational video underneath the tool to show people why it's important. I think that would be good. And I don't know if they did that. If they did that, good on them. Honestly, like if I was in control of this website, I would have that YouTube video linked to where I explain the restored calculator. I'm not the one who made this website. So that's why I give really big thanks to whoever is, you know, hosting that or paying to host that. I'm just gonna look up TJR Crypto. I have never heard of this guy. I mean, he's got 1 million subscribers, so he's a better marketer than I'll ever be. That's for sure. Tons of content. He's pumping out a video pretty much every single day. This is a 9-hour video. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's got content. So to say that he's slacking, I don't think so. Now, I would have to watch his videos to figure out how he trades. All right, I'll be the first one to say, anything that has to have Trustpilot on it, I don't trust. Okay, so listen, Trustpilot is a subscription. Okay? You can pay to have reviews removed. So it's, you know, any company that has a negative review on Trustpilot, it's just because they don't care. So I you know, because I am comfortable with what I'm doing, I don't go searching around anymore for like other traders. The only person that like has influenced me beyond and it made me excel with what I was already doing was Tom Hugard. So I mean, you know, forget the YouTube videos and stuff. You know, pick up Audible. You know, sign up for a free trial on Audible, get a free credit, and go use that credit for Best Loser Wins by Tom Hugard. And, you know, if you're on the bus or you're, you know, doing something like that, just put it on, man. Guarantee you it's going to be more. It's not going to teach you like a method, but it's the psychology that is more important than anything else. All right, give me a couple minutes, guys. I got to go use the restroom. I'll be back. Sorry for that. I said, does buy DeFi require KYC? No, it does not. It doesn't even require VPN. You know, I don't know how long like it will be like that, because it seems like every website eventually goes that way. But for me personally, I haven't been using a VPN. I haven't had any issues. Recently, I did run into an issue with our old previous partner, Femex, where the daily limit was set to 0 and I could not withdraw my funds. I had a couple bucks on there, and I was upset with it. So I did message support, and they said there was nothing they could do, but they did say, which I don't understand, but they said that you can KYC. And I was like, I'm from the United States, I can't KYC. Can we work something out? And they're like, even you can KYC. So they just said, go to the KYC thing, hit other, and I uploaded my driver's license, and it all went through, and I got my money off, and then that was that. So I don't know. Does this website offer that as well? Maybe. I don't know. So what's good, Kite? It's been 5,000 years since I viewed your stream live. I've been rewatching them in post. Well, I'm grateful anyways, man. I appreciate it. You miss out if you don't see them live, because then you can't ask questions, you know? Or at least get real-time feedback. If it's a good question, you know, and someone puts it in the comments, I'll usually bring it up on my next stream. Well, let me shoot this question out here, because I talked about it earlier. Does anybody else here have floaters in their eyes? Because I know, like, at my age, it's kind of weird. So, I mean, I you know, this, because it's a visible sign, I do take it a little bit more serious. Obviously, because it's hindering. Well, it's not hindering, but it's an annoyance. So, I mean, I 100% am getting back into fasting, because fasting includes autophagy, which can, you know, recycle and kind of get rid of old bad cells. So I'm hoping, if there's any chance it does, that fix my heart health, because maybe that's what led to it. Maybe you know, it's just too much strain on my eyeballs. Obviously, you know, sitting in front of bright lights and all that kind of stuff, and especially the past like 2 or 3 years, being out in the sunlight all day long, probably didn't help. I just never used sunglasses, but now I do. I do for sure. But yeah, it's this sucks, man. Sucks that I have something that's like actually like, oh, I'm getting old. Said, if you see Lambos to make people drool into buying your courses, you should be careful. Usually got those selling courses, not trading. He said, well, he's clearly better than anyone at making money. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. You know, well, that's the thing. You can make a lot more money quicker selling the how-tos than you do actually trading. Just it's the plain simple of it. Because it's a snowball effect. You got to get the money rolling. And it takes, I mean, it depends on what you start with and the knowledge you start with when you do start. But I would say, like, if you're starting from nothing in terms of knowledge and money, it's going to take like 10 to 15 years. That's me being honest. Like, if you want to be, like, if you want to make money trading, and by that I mean, like, you pay your bills and all that kind of stuff, I would say, you know, like, being conservative, I would say you would probably need somewhere around like $300,000 to $400,000 minimum. Because if we're thinking about this, like, let's say you're pretty good at trading. Let's say that after all your losses and all your wins, you're up 20% for the year. All right, so if you have a $400,000 portfolio, that's 80 grand. Let's say that you take it and slash it. Well, take that 80 grand. Let's say that you pay 20,000 of it in taxes, probably more. That leaves you with 60. Right? Now you take that 60, you cut that in half, and now you're looking at $30,000 going back into your portfolio to compound, and then $30,000 coming out to pay your bills. Which, $30,000 a year, unless you're single, have no dependents, and no debt, are you going to get by on $30,000 a year? I've been watching like a lot of videos where people, like, they got their like yearly expenses down to like 20 grand, which I definitely envy. I got bills that cost more than that. But yeah. But that includes them like taking public transport, you know, stuff like that. I'm just trying to be conservative. Like, when I get up here and talk, I don't want to, like, my goal is to not sell you a pipe dream. Is it totally possible for you to 10x your portfolio in a single bull market? Abso-freaking-lutely is. We took 100 and we turned it into 100,000. But once your portfolio gets to a certain size, it no longer becomes, how do I get it 5x from here? It goes, how do I make sure I never lose this? And the way that you do that is by minimizing risk. Okay, and giving yourself as much leverage and leeway as possible to make sure that you never lose it. So, like, once you get into like the hundreds of thousands, you're no longer using 3-5% per trade in terms of risk, because your risk is going to determine what you make from a trade. At that point, you're using 1%. You're using 0.5%, 0.2%. Let's say that you only get maybe 5 or 6 good wins in that year. Well, if you're using 1%, let's say you're looking at like 20 R&Rs back and forth, and then after your losses, maybe cut that in half. Hey, you're looking at like 50%. Average salary around here is $700 a month. I would die on salary. Damn. Well, I'm sure, hopefully the cost of like living is at least, because I know that like it's not always equivalent. Because like over here, like my food budget is $300 a month, but maybe over there, like maybe you're only spending like $60 a month. I don't know. Trying to see if my skins came back to me. Or did this take so long to load? Come on. Got it. Oh, maybe it's because I'm not signed in here. Well, like, let's be honest. So, like, with hedge funds, for example, hedge funds only make like 8% a year, which is actually below what the S&P 500 has done on average per year. So a lot of people look at that and they go, why would anybody ever put their money into hedge funds? Well, it's in the name. It's a hedge. Okay, so a hedge fund is not there to make you the most amount of money possible. When you're super duper rich, the goal is to never lose the money that you have. So even though a hedge fund only makes 8% a year on average, where the S&P 500 makes like 10 to 12% on average, it's because they're constantly hedging. And when you hedge, you lose a little bit here, but then you're gaining security here over and over and over again. So when a 2008 financial crisis happens, the hedge fund hopefully protects that money. And maybe might even have you come out on top of it. Like I said, it's not low in terms, like, if you're calling 20% low, it's a skewed result. Like I said, S&P 500 12%, hedge fund 8%. So if you're making 20%, you're beating a lot of people. So anything past that point, you're doing well. And like I said, it's not to say that you can't take a small account and turn it into something massive fairly quickly. All right, you can 100x your portfolio pretty easy. But when you start off with a small amount, you have nothing to lose. So with that $100 account that I started, I turned off my brain. It was $100. Doesn't matter if I saw $30,000 on my screen or $78,000 on my screen. To me, it was $100. So I could restart that account 1,000 times. And hopefully, if one of those times hit, it'll be all for, it'll be good. So I think the account went bust like 3 times before it actually worked. But that was during a hyperbolic bull market as well. All I had to really do was long the breakouts. But most people lost money. So, that's the thing. So turning $100 and $100,000 is not impossible, but it requires like just a very specific moment in time and a little bit of luck. But once you have money, at that point is about securing your future investments. And because of that, you're going to be using less risk. Less risk means less profit. But continuous growth is the goal. So if you're using like 0.2% risk, if you have the inability to ever lose that money, but then yet grow it at 20% per year, you're unstoppable. Nothing can stop you at that point besides someone coming into your home and putting a gun to your head and being like, give me your seed phrase. That's the only thing that can happen. You guys are having a little bit of a separate conversation in the comments. He's saying that like money that's not currently actively being traded is 20%, which when it comes to like APR and stuff on like staking and that realm of things, the higher it is, more shady it is. Let's be honest. So like if I'm going to go stake money, let's say like on Coinbase, like they give you like a percentage APY on your on your USDT. If I saw like 300%, there's no doubt in my mind that that's fake. But if I see 2%, 3%, I'm like, okay, that's legit. And there's no world where you're going to get 300% APY interest on holdings. No world. So am I retarded if I think you can make 10% a month? No. Like I said, no, you're not. But what I'm saying is that your account at some point will become no longer about growing the account as quick as you can, but rather maintaining its value and then growing it steadily. Because here's the thing. If I have $1 million, okay, and I make 20% on that, that's 200 grand. If you're starting with $100, okay, and you made 100% per year, so if you had $100 and you made 100% per year, it would take you let me use my actual calculator down here, I guess. $100 plus 100%. 1, 2, 3. That is, hello? Plus 100 plus 100%. That should go up to 400. What is it doing? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It would take you 12 years of consecutively making 100% on your portfolio to make 1 year worth of profit at 20%. So if your account ever gets to that point, it is no longer about trying to get it up to the next stratosphere. It's about compounding. Because if you have $1 million, and I hate how it does this. God. Maybe it was my phone calculator that you can just continue hitting the equal sign and that does it. But if you got $1 million and you do 20%, and then next year you do 20%, and next year you do 20%. So after like 5 years or 4 years, you're now at 2 mil. 5 more years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You went from $1 million to 5 million in 10 years. Now, you might have a great year and you might do 35%. Who knows? That's the thing that happens is you don't know how many trades that you're going to get that year that work out and work out well. But one thing's for certain, you're never losing that money. Because if your risk is so low, there's nothing that can stop you. But if you're risking 5% of your account and 6 trades go wrong, you're down. You're down quite a bit of money. You're down like 26%. But yeah, if you're working with $100, Yeah, you can make 1,000% on the year. For sure. Because you're more willing to use 5% risk. And if you're using 5% risk, you can compound your account very aggressively. So, but like I said, it's not about the small numbers. We're talking about like if you're going to be making a living off of it. So at first, like you got to get your account to a size that is substantial and then lock it in by reducing your risk. So therefore you're making less per year. But you're pretty much guaranteed to always continue into the future. And like I said, it's about compounding. So, you know, someone that has $10 million, when they make 20%, they're making $2 million, which, you know, looks like chump change just, you know, to people that are using $1 billion. It's a whole, you know, it keeps going forever. Yeah, it's all percentages. So, I mean, like, but it's the thing about like Kelly Criterion is minimizing your chances of going bust, but it's never zero. So if you have $5 million and you're using 5% risk, what if you just start doing stupid stuff that you're already doing? Just because you have more money doesn't mean that you're better mentally. Hopefully you've learned a lot to get to that point, but you're always susceptible to being a dumb human. Never forget that. It's always there. All we can really do to prevent us from making mistakes is to learn from the ones that we've had. And hopefully, you know, Alan Watts, you know, he put it, you can't teach someone until they know it, which is really shitty. Now I can fill your head with information, but you're never going to understand it until you experience it. And then it's like all those words just like that were floating around in the bobblehead that is us finally come together. But it's not until you experience something or do something yourself where it clicks. So when you go and watch like tutorials and stuff, it's all just an information puzzle until you start using it or experiencing it. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you have $5 million or $100. You can use the same percentages. You can grow at the same rate. Now, you're going to start running into like governmental limitations. Like if I had a $10 million account and I was making crazy trades, you start running into issues of like, how do I get that money? How do I not raise red flags? How do I not make sure that the government comes cracking down on me and, you know, puts me in handcuffs? Like there's a bunch of different stuff that comes along with it. But if you do everything by the book, you shouldn't run into issues. But that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, that's a sad story for sure. But hey, at the time that was only worth like $20. What time did I make these? The withdrawals. I was testing out something yesterday. I put $40 on this. So this is a extension called SIH, Steam Inventory Helper, and they have a case simulator, but then they have their own cases on top of it. And what I found interesting, there was a case that you can buy it for 10 and you're pretty much guaranteed to get something worth 40. So I'm waiting on them to send me the skins, but for me, I mean, if you're looking to put money onto Steam, if this does work, well, then there's no reason not to. Yesterday at 6:06 a.m. that, and then these ones were at 4:01, so they technically should be. Let me hop on this and I'll message them. I'm going to get going here pretty soon, next like 5-10 minutes. I do have to head back out today. And as well as that, I want to play a little bit. Where can you contact me? I mean, you can contact me through the email in the description. You can always join the Patreon, which puts you in the Discord with everybody else. Which that's no longer like a huge price. It's like $12 a month. And then I believe I have my other Discord listed as well. Now the issue with this is I really don't check that Discord as much unless I get a notification on Patreon, because that's usually what I add people with. But yeah. So I mean, probably the best way would be the email on my about on my channel. Or you can DM me on Twitter. I check Twitter a little bit nowadays because the news is so crazy, but all right, what's your guys' opinions on this?
Do you cheat? Guys, this guy is #1 in NA right now, and he has better statistics than Donk.
All right, what's the going theory? What do we think it was? All right, this is a UFO traveling at high speed in Yemen. They hit it with a Hellfire missile. You can see it react to it. The Hellfire missile bounces off. There's a bit of debris here, but then the debris goes with it. What do we think it is? All right. To me, we just declared war on aliens. All right. This does not bode well. I personally, listen, this is my personal belief. If there's aliens, there is no doubt in my mind that they are the most peaceful species to exist. Because, like, in my head, at some point, you reach a stage where you either kill yourself, in terms of, like, the species, through war, or war is no longer there, so the species can go on and it can create new technology that's even better. So, for an alien race to ever get to that point, they have to be peaceful. Now, that could just be, you know, a stupid theory. Maybe they were just the ones that won the war. But I mean, that's my opinion. I haven't even heard of Pump Fun. What is Pump Fun? Pump allows anyone to create coins. All coins created on Pump are fair launch, meaning everyone has equal access to buy and sell when the coins are first created. Pick a coin you like, buy the coin on the bonding curve, sell at any time, and lock in your profits and losses. Okay, so we 200%. To me, I don't really understand why this is a thing. I feel like if you're going to be playing this, then play like Crash BTC or something. Is it what was the website? Crash gambling game. Yeah, so like this is the same thing, but you don't have to do all the, you know, whatever. Like this is the same exact thing. Well, that's the thing. It did hit it, right? Because we see it we see it react, and then we see debris. Dang, everybody got wiped out on that one. All right, let's see. Let's pick our winner here. Okay, we got AC/DC going big balls. All right, AC/DC. Got too greedy. Got too greedy. Hey, look at this one. 289. Oh, if anybody needs a good movie site, pstream.mov is probably my favorite out of any that I've ever used. I don't know if there's anything shady going on, but has no ads. It's never shown me. It's never done anything crazy. I've had other streaming websites where it will like download something. That's crazy. But yeah. Pretty good website if you need one. Hey, I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for that, for promoting that, but yeah. It's not just movies, it's shows. You know? Doesn't have all the ones I've been watching. And that's another thing. Like, I like how it saves them all up here. Naked Gun, that was a good watch. I've been watching the new season of Rick and Morty. Gen V, I have mixed opinions about it. The new season of Gen V, I understand that one of the show's stars did die, unfortunately, and you know, there's some leeway with that because you can tell that they had to rewrite a lot of the plot. But unfortunately, because of that, it's kind of all over the place in the first couple episodes. And dude, it feels like they've turned the what's the word for it? Not analogies, but metaphors. Like, you know, it's always been quite clear that The Boys has kind of dogged on the right wing and used them as kind of like a joke in their shows, which I had no issue with. But in Gen V in particular this season, it seems like they turned it up to 11. And like it's like they're not even like being creative about it anymore. They just like, you know, in one of the scenes, they brought out a goat. And the objective is to not kill the goat. But then they go, well, the goat is named Elon Musk, so you shouldn't feel bad if the goat dies. So like, it's shit like that, or it's like, we just had a political assassination and they're trying to say that like they aren't responsible for anything that's happening, but then yet they have this thing where they basically are saying like, don't feel bad if Elon Musk dies. It's shit like that. I don't think it should happen on either side. Like, I want to like that show so much because I do like the series, and I don't have an issue with people poking fun at like politics, but like it feels like the core of the show has gone away, and I really do hate that. I have this weird feeling that you're 5'8.5". You're pretty much on the money. I am 69 inches exactly. The best number. So that's 5'9". So like, you know, maybe when I'm, 40 years old, I'll be 5'8". But yeah, I never been the tallest guy in the room for sure. And dude, the show that I also Peacemaker. Peacemaker's another one that I'm very excited tonight. I think tonight, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that hasn't seen it, but I think tonight is where we find out the big secret that they've been hiding. Hopefully, because there's only a couple episodes left, so we'll see. Peacemaker's such a good show. Such a good show. And then the show that I'm really upset with ending is Sandman. Dude, Sandman was like a spectacle. Like I've never seen a show have such good after effects, visual effects, CGI, whatever you want to call it. But the plot was kind of like kiddish, I will say, at some points. But the show, I loved it. I loved that show. I loved season 2. Season 2 was great. And it kind of had the Doctor Who effect at the end, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm so sad that they had to cancel it because of one asshole. I feel like that show could have been great. Could have been great. And I mean, there's always hope in the future that it gets picked up by, or like, revitalized. Because I mean, like, look at Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso was phenomenal. Everybody loved. Like, listen, the problem with Ted Lasso is that there's gonna be some people that are like, oh, I don't like soccer or football, so they'll never watch it. I was one of those people. I'm like, I don't watch soccer. I'm not into soccer. But then I gave it a shot, and I'm like, oh, this is not a show about soccer. It just so happens to take place around soccer. But yeah, that show, you know, it ended and people loved it so much that they were like, all right, we'll bring it back. Which could be for the worse. All right. Could turn out crap. But very excited. I love Ted Lasso. Stand on my money, I'm 6'6". More like stand on my IRS bills. I'm 6'6". All right. IRS has not been my friend lately. I can say that for sure. You'll get blinded by the floaters. Don't put that on me, man. Don't put that on me. That's the last thing I want. Start predicting markets. Listen, if it ever comes down to that, I'm going to invent the first dynamic braille monitor. Okay? That's what we're doing. Just for charting. Okay, just for charting. I don't know if anybody here plays CS. You know, I want to show off some of my recent winnings. But in the weekly drop about 2 weeks ago, I actually got this guy right here. I got the Glock 18 Glockingbird, which sells for about $30 for my weekly drop. I pulled this from the Armory Pass, $55. Dude, when this popped up on my screen, I thought it was FAQ new, and I was so excited because a FAQ new one goes for like $400. So I was very excited, but turned out to be field tested. Still $45 paid for the pass. And then, you know, I got all these little dollar skins from the pass as well. So, I mean, the pass paid for itself, most definitely. And then, the weekly drop as well. The only reason why I got that one was, my friend, he got an op green energy, like field tester well worn. I was like, man, I really want to see if I can get something good. So I made a new CS account and, you know, leveled up to get my weekly drop, and I ended up pulling that. So it paid for itself. So, because there was a recent CS update where you can get better and better skins. So you can get like $500 weekly drops. SBK, it was nice meeting you, dude. I don't know if you were in here for any other live streams, but I'm glad you showed up today. Talked for so long, asked some good questions. Well, at least got me to talk, you know. It's always a good thing. So I appreciate you. Have a great night as well. I'll be leaving here in a second anyway, so good timing. So I'm going to be woken up at 2 a.m. to take an ABC long. It's going to piss me off. We're close to that point. It's looking likely that we might, maybe not tonight. I feel like it's going to be tomorrow, but who knows? Maybe we move a little bit quicker. All right, guys. I think that ends it here. So I do have to get going here shortly. Saw a tweet about some people buying a lot of weapons to manipulate the price on CS. Is that even legal? There's nothing stopping them. It's a free marketplace. I know like some of the stickers were kind of out of whack. I think maybe like this one, for example. See? No, not really. It was the 20 sticker, was it, that like went crazy? Like the 2023. Not even here anymore, but There was a sticker that went from like $1 to like $300. That was definitely market manipulation. And anybody that fell for that, and you're a joke. Yeah, it's legal. Ain't nothing. I mean, if people are willing to buy it from you, there ain't nothing stopping them. Like this case, for example, I would say is a good investment. I think once this case goes out of the active drop pool, you're probably going to see this case go up to probably like $4 or $5. The reason why this case in particular, and that's the thing I like about this little case simulation button here. Like if I click on the fever case, for example, I hit case simulation. The price of a case usually comes from the golds. Now, this case, for example, it has the op print stream, which is a very valuable item because it's part of a set. And people love all white skins. Say what you will. But this is the first case where you can get skeleton Doppler knives. And these are going to go up in price massively. So I would say if you're looking to invest in CS stuff, I would say the two best things to invest in would be the Fever case and the Dreams and Nightmares case. Once those go out of an active drop pool, you're probably going to see both of those go up to like $4 to $5. And you can sell those on a third-party marketplace for real cash. You don't have to sell it directly onto Steam. But the reason why the Dreams and Nightmares case is a good one is because pretty much every single knife in this case is a gamma Doppler. And gamma Dopplers are very expensive, which I'm very upset about. I had an M9 bayonet gamma Doppler FAC new phase 3 that I got for free, and I ended up selling it for $1,700, real cash, not Steam balance. But turn around a year later, how much are they going for now? M9 bayonet gamma Doppler phase 3. They are going for $3,200. Such a good looking knife. Such a good looking knife. Yeah, but I got it for free in a Wendy's bathroom. That was a good feeling. I probably won't ever own a knife like this again. Who knows? Maybe. All right, guys. I gotta go. I gotta go. I appreciate your time today very much. It's nice seeing you guys again. I know I'm not consistent ever, but it usually is dependent on how the market is acting. So I'm sure with us kind of hanging around this new entry point, I'll be stopping in foreseeably for like the next week or two. Past that point, who knows? You know, just kind of depending on how I'm feeling, how the market's feeling, what we got to do, what we got to talk about. But all is well ends well. I'll repeat myself. If you guys need a new trading website, Buy DeFi has been a great experience for me. Link in the description. If you want to sign up underneath me, it helps me look good to the website. And Patreon's always open if you guys want to join that as well. It's cheap. You know, I say it all the time. I say the same stuff on the streams that I say in the Patreon. If you join the Patreon, you're not going to get any new information. You're just going to get access to a group of people that trade just like me, and you can ask them questions, and you have a direct line to me as well. So, all right, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one, whether that's tomorrow, the next day, whenever. See when I see you. Let's go ahead and do the thing and head on out. Bye.